Now, this is about trade relations. Now, President Obama is considering signing a new pact on trade relations. In fact, he wants to do an agreement with the European Union. Now, this could be rather uncontroversial. We already have a very good trade relationship with Europe. But it said they decided to put something in there called an investor-state dispute resolution. Now, that sounds terrifically dull and not clear what it is, right? Well, let's explain. An investor-state dispute resolution would allow a company to appeal a regulatory rule or law to an international court. So that's why it's a dispute between investors and the state. And what this is saying is, we're going to get rid of the old system. What was the old system? The old system is, let's say Johnson & Johnson has a dispute with Panama, and we've got a trade agreement with Panama, for example, if we did, and we're about to. Well, then Johnson & Johnson would say, hey, I'm a U.S. company. They go to the U.S. government and they say, can you help resolve this dispute? Under this new way of doing it, and it hasn't been signed in yet, but President Obama's in favor, and I'm sure all the Republicans are going to be in favor because it's a corporation. If the corporations want it, the Republicans say, yes, sir, how high, sir? We'll jump, just let us know. So both sides are going to agree to this, and so we're in a world of trouble. But now under this new regime, well, then Johnson & Johnson doesn't need the United States anymore. They can just directly sue Panama, which would allow them the ability to intimidate so many different states. Oh, you really want to go through the cost of fighting against our hundreds of lawyers? Well, we're coming for you. Or you could take away that regulation you have and allow us to pollute your river. Now, you think that's all? No, no, no. It also applies to the United States. Quote, the international body would be given authority to impose economic sanctions against any country that violated its verdict, including the United States. You know what this is? This is a clear infringement on our sovereignty. I mean, if a conservative isn't opposed to this, well, then they don't know what conservative is. They have no idea what their ideology stands for. This is exactly what you say, don't tread on me for. You're going to give away, you know what this would allow? It would allow foreign corporations, by the way, also U.S. corporations, to come in here and say, your rules that you made here in the United States do not apply to me. I'm going to take you to an international court and get you to get rid of your rules. Oh, you don't want your river in Alabama polluted? Sad day for you. I got an international court to say that I can pollute those rivers. This is going to turn corporations into sovereign entities by themselves. Now, of course, every time you think of sovereign entity, you can't help but think of poor old George W. Bush. Now, this was in regards to tribal sovereignty, not corporate sovereignty. At that point, they hadn't even thought of that yet, right? But it reminds you of this gem from the former president.
What do you think tribal sovereignty means in the 21st century? And how do we resolve conflicts between tribes and the federal and state governments?
Tribal sovereignty means that. It's sovereign. I mean, you've been given sovereignty and you're viewed as a sovereign entity.
Okay.
And therefore, the relationship between the federal government and tribes is one between sovereign entities.
The audience laughed at him. I love it. Now, I tried having Bush explain the difference between corporate sovereignty and national sovereignty, and I wish you good luck. Now, we're not done here, though. It says the Office of the United States Trade Representative says framework will be subject to appropriate safeguards in the protection of legitimate government regulatory interests. So don't worry. We got your back. There'll be safeguards. What are the safeguards? Yeah, maybe they won't sue as much. Okay. Go. There's no appropriate safeguards. Alana Solomon from the Sierra Club nails it. She says, these provisions elevate corporations to the level of nation states and allow them to sue governments over nearly any law or policy which reduces their future profits. And it does, by the way, it talks about their profits. They got a right to their profits. If you infringe on their right to their profits, all of a sudden they're sovereign entities and they'll take you to an international court and invalidate your national law. Oh, conservative heads should be exploding everywhere. Here come the Hobbit homes. These are the black helicopters, my friends. Okay? So if you actually believed in what you say, you would be dead set against it. I don't think they're actually going to bring in black helicopters and Hobbit homes, just to be clear, right? But they will significantly infringe on our sovereignty by doing this. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce turns it around. I love these guys. / I can't stand them. Quote, they pushed for an increased regulatory compatibility and updated comprehensive investment terms to, quote, prevent discrimination against investors in the trade pact. Oh, right. The problem we had was we were discriminating against corporations too much. Now, they explained this because they said, a reporter asked them, they said, wait a minute. You seem to have gotten everything you want in these trade agreements already with the European Union. What do you want here? They're saying we're trying to get rid of the discrimination against us and have us be sovereign and get rid of the countries. Man, this is, if you're paying attention, this is incredibly scary. This is where corporations start to rule over the nations. They used to be under the umbrella of nations. Soon nations will be under the umbrella of corporations. Now, I think Lori Wallach, who's the director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch, understood their intent perfectly. She says, quote, "The dirty little secret about the negotiation is that it is not mainly about trade, but rather what would target for elimination the strongest consumer health, safety, privacy, environmental, and other public interest policies on either side of the Atlantic." So you'll have European companies and banks suing the US to get rid of our regulations, to get rid of our pollution standards, our health and safety standards, and you'll have US companies suing European companies, European countries and the European Union to get rid of their standards. It's a disaster in the making and is very likely to pass.